My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I'm recording this story because if something happens to me, someone needs to know the truth. It's been 72 hours since I watched my mother's video. 72 hours since I learned that everything I thought I knew about my family was a lie. 72 hours since I looked into my husband's eyes and saw something that made my blood run cold. But I need to start at the beginning. I need to tell you about the day my world fell apart, and then somehow got even worse. 3 weeks earlier, Austin, Texas, March 15th, 2024. It was a Tuesday. I remember that because Tuesdays were always Emma's favorite day at school. She had art class on Tuesdays, and my daughter loved to paint. She'd come home with her hands covered in bright colors, chattering excitedly about the pictures she'd created, and I'd pretend to be annoyed about the paint on her uniform while secretly loving every second of her joy. But that Tuesday, the call came at 1:47 p.m. I was in the middle of my shift at St. David's Medical Center, checking vitals on a post-op patient, when my phone buzzed in my pocket. The caller ID showed Emma's school. My heart immediately jumped. They never called during school hours unless something was wrong. "Mrs. Mitchell?" The principal's voice was shaking. I'd known Margaret Henderson for 3 years, since Emma started at Riverside Elementary, and I'd never heard her sound like this. "You need to come to the school right away. Emma collapsed during recess. The ambulance is here. I didn't hear the rest. I was already running. The drive to the school is a blur. I remember my hands shaking on the steering wheel. I remember running 2 red lights. I remember praying, actually praying, even though I hadn't been to church since my wedding day. Please, God, please let her be okay. When I got to the school, the ambulance was in the parking lot, lights flashing. I saw Emma's teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, crying. I saw other parents staring. And then I saw the paramedics wheeling out a stretcher with my baby girl on it. She looked so small, so pale. Her lips had a blue tinge that made my nursing training kick in with a diagnosis I didn't want to believe. "Emma!" I screamed, running toward her. She opened her eyes, those beautiful brown eyes she got from her father, and whispered, "Mommy, I'm so tired." "I know, baby, I know, but you're going to be okay. Mommy's here now." But I wasn't sure. God help me, I wasn't sure at all. They let me ride in the ambulance. I held Emma's hand while the paramedic, a young guy named Jason, who I'd worked with a few times in the ER, ran vitals and started an IV. He looked at me, and I saw it in his eyes. He saw what I was seeing. Something was very, very wrong. At the hospital, they rushed Emma straight into the ER. Dr. Patricia Chen, one of the best pediatric specialists at St. David's and someone I'd worked alongside for years, took one look at Emma and immediately ordered a full blood panel. I called Mark, my husband, the man I'd loved since college, who'd supported my decision to become a nurse, who'd held my hand through a miscarriage 2 years before Emma was born, who'd been my rock through every storm. "Mark, you need to get to the hospital. It's Emma. Something's wrong." His voice was instantly alert. "I'm leaving the office right now. Sarah, what happened?" "She collapsed at school. They're running tests. Just please hurry." "I'm coming. I love you." "I love you too." Those words would haunt me later. How easily we said them. How much I believed them. Mark arrived 40 minutes later, his tie loosened, his face flushed from running through the hospital. He found me in the pediatric waiting room, and I fell into his arms. "What did the doctor say?" he asked, holding me tight. "They're still running tests. Mark, her lips were blue. Her blood pressure was low. My voice broke. I think it might be something with her blood." Mark's grip tightened. "She's going to be okay. Emma's strong. She's our fighter." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. Dr. Chen came out an hour later. I knew from her expression that it was bad. After years of working in healthcare, you learn to read faces. You learn to see the difference between "we need to run more tests" and "I'm about to destroy your world." "Sarah, Mark, can you come with me, please?" We followed her to a private consultation room. These rooms are designed to deliver bad news. Soft lighting, comfortable chairs, boxes of tissues strategically placed. I'd been in rooms like this 100 times as a nurse, comforting other families. I never imagined I'd be on this side of the conversation. "Emma's blood work shows severe abnormalities," Dr. Chen began, her voice gentle but firm. "Her white blood cell count is extremely elevated, and her red blood cells and platelets are dangerously low. We've called in Dr. Michael Ramirez, our pediatric oncologist. Based on the preliminary results, we believe Emma has acute lymphoblastic leukemia." The word leukemia hit me like a physical blow. Cancer. My baby had cancer? "No," I heard myself say. "No, that can't be right. She's 7 years old. She's healthy. She plays soccer. "I know this is devastating," Dr. Chen said. "But Sarah, you're a nurse. You know that childhood leukemia, while serious, has a high treatment success rate. We've caught it early. That's in Emma's favor." "What's the treatment?" Mark asked. His voice sounded strange, distant, like he was speaking from underwater. "Aggressive chemotherapy starting immediately. We'll need to admit her tonight. The first round of chemo will begin tomorrow morning. After that, depending on how she responds, we may be looking at additional treatments, possible radiation, and potentially a bone marrow transplant." "A bone marrow transplant?" I whispered. "How much does that cost?" Dr. Chen's expression shifted slightly. "Let's focus on the immediate treatment first. We'll have a financial counselor meet with you to discuss—" "How much?" I demanded. Years of watching families destroyed by medical debt made me need to know. "The full course of treatments, including chemotherapy, hospital stays, medications, and potential transplant, you're looking at somewhere between $400,000 and $800,000. Your insurance will cover a significant portion, but not all of it," Mark finished. "No," Dr. Chen admitted, "not all of it." That night, after Emma had been admitted and was sleeping in her hospital bed, after Emma had been admitted and was sleeping in her hospital bed, after Emma had been admitted and was sleeping in her hospital bed, 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 and was sleeping in her hospital bed,
and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping in her hospital bed, and was sleeping.
I started crying. Not the quiet, dignified crying you do in public, but the ugly, gasping sobs that come from deep in your chest. Miss Mitchell, are you all right? Is there someone there with you? My daughter, I managed to choke out. My daughter has cancer. I was calling my mother because... Another sob. Because I need help and I didn't know where else to turn. Detective Chen's voice softened. I'm so sorry. Miss Mitchell, listen to me. There are some things about your mother's death that we need to discuss. When you're able to come to Boston, we need to talk in person. Something in her tone made me stop crying. What kind of things? In person, she repeated. But Miss Mitchell, I need to ask you something. Did your mother ever mention feeling threatened? Was she afraid of anyone? My blood ran cold. Threatened? What are you talking about? When you come to Boston, we'll discuss everything. In the meantime, be careful. And Sarah, don't mention this conversation to anyone. Not yet. Wait, what? The line went dead. I sat there in the dark hospital room, my dead mother's phone number still glowing on my screen, Emma's monitors beeping softly in the background, and felt the first cold finger of real fear trace down my spine. What had Detective Chen meant? Why would my mother have been threatened? And why did she tell me not to mention it to anyone? I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I kept thinking about my mother's last words to me, 5 years ago, right before I'd told her to leave. Please, Sarah, I'm trying to protect you. From what? From Mark? That was crazy. Mark was... My phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. Unknown. Is this Sarah Mitchell? My hand trembled as I typed back. Yes, who is this? Unknown. Gerald Pemberton, attorney at law. I represent your mother's estate. We need to speak urgently. Can you call me at this number? I looked at the clock. 3:27 a.m. Who sends texts at 3:27 a.m.? I called the number. Pemberton answered on the first ring. Miss Mitchell, thank you for calling. I know this is an unusual hour, but your mother left very specific instructions. I'm to contact you immediately upon her death, regardless of the time. What instructions? Your mother has left you your entire estate. However, there are complications. Complications that require your immediate attention. Miss Mitchell, are you aware of your mother's financial situation? She worked in a library. She didn't have any money. That's not accurate, Pemberton said carefully. Your mother's estate is valued at approximately $3.2 million. Cash, investments, and real estate holdings, all of it left to you. The room was spinning. That's impossible. My mother drove a 20-year-old Honda. She lived in a rent-controlled apartment. She clipped coupons. Your mother lived very modestly despite having significant assets. But Miss Mitchell, before you come to Boston, you need to watch the video message she left you. It's crucial. I'm sending you a secure link now. The password is Emma's birthday, month, day, year, no spaces. A video? What video? Your mother recorded it 2 weeks before she died. She was very specific. You're to watch it alone immediately before speaking to anyone else about the inheritance. This is extremely important, Miss Mitchell. Watch it alone. Mr. Pemberton, what is going on? Watch the video, then call me back. And Miss Mitchell, trust no one. Your mother's last words to me were, trust no one. Please take that seriously. He hung up. I stared at my phone. $3.2 million. A video. Trust no one. The email arrived 30 seconds later, a secure link with end-to-end encryption. The subject line, for Sarah's eyes only. My hands trembled as I typed back, yes, who is this? Unknown. Gerald Pemberton, attorney at law. I represent your mother's estate. We need to speak urgently. Can you call me at this number? I looked at the clock. 3:27 a.m. Who sends texts at 3:27 a.m.? I called the number. Pemberton answered on the first ring. Miss Mitchell, thank you for calling. I know this is an unusual hour, but your mother left very specific instructions. I'm to contact you immediately upon her death, regardless of the time. What instructions? Your mother has left you your entire estate. However, there are complications. Complications that require your immediate attention. Miss Mitchell, are you aware of your mother's financial situation? She worked in a library. She didn't have any money. That's not accurate, Pemberton said carefully. Your mother's estate is valued at approximately $3.2 million. Cash, investments, and real estate holdings, all of it left to you. The room was spinning. That's impossible. My mother drove a 20-year-old Honda. She lived in a rent-controlled apartment. She clipped coupons. Your mother lived very modestly despite having significant assets. But Miss Mitchell, before you come to Boston, you need to watch the video message she left you. It's crucial. I'm sending you a secure link now. The password is Emma's birthday, month, day, year, no spaces. A video? What video? Your mother recorded it 2 weeks before she died. She was very specific. You're to watch it alone immediately before speaking to anyone else about the inheritance. This is extremely important, Miss Mitchell. Watch it alone. Mr. Pemberton, what is going on? Watch the video. Then call me back. And Miss Mitchell, trust no one. Your mother's last words to me were, trust no one. Please take that seriously. He hung up. I stared at my phone. $3.2 million. A video. Trust no one. The email arrived 30 seconds later, a secure link with end-to-end encryption. The subject line, for Sarah's eyes only. My hands trembled as I typed back, yes, who is this? Unknown. Gerald Pemberton, attorney at law. I represent your mother's estate. We need to speak urgently. Can you call me at this number? I looked at the clock. 3:27 a.m. Who sends texts at 3:27 a.m.? I called the number. Pemberton answered on the first ring. Miss Mitchell, thank you for calling. I know this is an unusual hour, but your mother left very specific instructions. I'm to contact you immediately upon her death, regardless of the time. What instructions? Your mother has left you your entire estate. However, there are complications. Complications that require your immediate attention. Miss Mitchell, are you aware of your mother's financial situation? She worked in a library. She didn't have any money. That's not accurate, Pemberton said carefully. Your mother's estate is valued at approximately $3.2 million. Cash, investments, and real estate holdings, all of it left to you. The room was spinning. That's impossible. My mother drove a 20-year-old Honda. She lived in a rent-controlled apartment. She clipped coupons. Your mother lived very modestly despite having significant assets. But Miss Mitchell, before you come to Boston, you need to watch the video message she left you. It's crucial. I'm sending you a secure link now. The password is Emma's birthday, month, day, year, no spaces. A video? What video? Your mother recorded it 2 weeks before she died. She was very specific. You're to watch it alone immediately before speaking to anyone else about the inheritance. This is extremely important, Miss Mitchell. Watch it alone. Mr. Pemberton, what is going on? Watch the video. Then call me back. And Miss Mitchell, trust no one. Your mother's last words to me were, trust no one. Please take that seriously. He hung up. I stared at my phone. $3.2 million. A video. Trust no one. The email arrived 30 seconds later, a secure link with end-to-end encryption, the subject line, for Sarah's eyes only. My hands trembled as I typed back, yes, who is this? Unknown. Gerald Pemberton, attorney at law. I represent your mother's estate. We need to speak urgently. Can you call me at this number? I looked at the clock. 3:27 a.m. Who sends texts at 3:27 a.m.? I called the number. Pemberton answered on the first ring. Miss Mitchell, thank you for calling. I know this is an unusual hour, but your mother left very specific instructions. I'm to contact you immediately upon her death, regardless of the time. What instructions? Your mother has left you your entire estate. However, there are complications. Complications that require your immediate attention. Miss Mitchell, are you aware of your mother's financial situation? She worked in a library. She didn't have any money. That's not accurate, Pemberton said carefully. Your mother's estate is valued at approximately $3.2 million. Cash, investments, and real estate holdings, all of it left to you. The room was spinning. That's impossible. My mother drove a 20-year-old Honda. She lived in a rent-controlled apartment. She clipped coupons. Your mother lived very modestly despite having significant assets. But Miss Mitchell, before you come to Boston, you need to watch the video message she left you. It's crucial. My mother's eyes flashed with old anger. So I took the money. I signed their papers. I moved to a different neighborhood. I changed our name back to Mitchell. I got a job at the library and lived as small as I could. And I invested every penny I could save, building that $800,000 into what you're inheriting now. But Sarah, I didn't do it just to survive. I didn't because I was planning revenge. I was building resources, and I was collecting evidence. She leaned closer to the camera. For 30 years, I've been watching the Holloways, following their business dealings, documenting their crimes. And Sarah, they haven't stopped. The fraud continues. The bribery continues. They've gotten bolder, more arrogant. They think they're untouchable. I have evidence, real evidence, documents, recordings, financial records showing ongoing criminal activity, evidence that goes beyond the statute of limitations on the old crimes, evidence that could put them in prison for decades. It's all in a safe deposit box at Boston Federal Bank, box 2847. The key is hidden in my apartment, inside the hardcover copy of Jane Eyre on my bookshelf, third shelf from the top. You remember that book. I used to read it to you when you were little. I did remember. It was one of the few clear memories I had of her reading to me. Sarah, I'm leaving you the money because you need it. I know about Emma's diagnosis. I've been watching from afar all these years, even though you hate me. I know she has leukemia. I know you need help. Use the money to save her. That's what it's for. Fresh tears spilled down my cheeks. She knew. She'd known about Emma this whole time and never reached out. But there's something else you need to know. Something I discovered 3 weeks ago that made me record this video. Her expression changed, fear replacing the anger and determination. Someone has been following me. 3 weeks ago, my apartment was broken into. Nothing was stolen, but things were moved. My papers were shuffled. My computer had been accessed. Someone was looking for something. I started being more careful, watching for tails, and I spotted him. A man in a black SUV following me to work, sitting outside my apartment at night. I took photos. I reported it to the police, but they said without a direct threat, there was nothing they could do. Then, 5 days ago, I received an email from an anonymous account. No message, just an attachment, a photo of you and Emma at her soccer game, a photo taken last week in Austin, Texas. My blood turned to ice. They know about you, Sarah. After all these years of staying hidden, somehow they found out you exist, and they're watching you. I don't know how much time I have. I think they're going to kill me just like they killed your father. So I'm recording this video and leaving everything to you. The money, the evidence, the truth. But Sarah, her voice dropped to barely above a whisper, you need to be very, very careful. Trust no one. The Holloways have connections everywhere. Police, judges, politicians. They have the resources to make people disappear. She paused, seeming to wrestle with something. I'm especially worried about Mark. My heart stopped. 6 months ago, when I learned about Emma's diagnosis, I hired a private investigator. I wanted to see how you were, what your life was like, whether you were happy. I know it was wrong to invade your privacy like that, but I needed to know. The investigator discovered something concerning. Mark has been in financial trouble, serious trouble. He has a gambling problem, Sarah. He's been betting on sports online, and he's accumulated nearly $75,000 in debt with some very dangerous people. No, Mark didn't gamble. He would have told me. 3 months ago, Mark started receiving calls from a Boston area code. The investigator traced them to a law firm, Pemberton, Chase and Associates, the same firm that handles the Holloway family's legal affairs. Mark has been in contact with them, Sarah. Multiple calls, multiple emails. The investigator couldn't determine exactly what they were discussing, attorney-client privilege and encrypted communications, but the timeline is suspicious. Right after Emma's diagnosis, right after you would have been most vulnerable, most desperate for money. My mother's eyes filled with tears. I don't know how much they've promised him. I don't know if he's working with them willingly, or if they're blackmailing him with his debts. But Sarah, you can't trust him. Not with this. Not with the evidence. Not with anything. I know this is breaking your heart. I know you love him. But please, please be careful. The Holloways specialize in finding people's weaknesses and exploiting them. And Mark's weakness is his desperation to save Emma. A desperation I understand completely. She wiped her eyes. Take the money, save Emma. That's the most important thing. But if you choose to use the evidence, if you choose to finish what your father and I started, you have to do it carefully. Don't tell Mark. Don't tell anyone. Get the evidence, secure it with someone you trust completely, someone outside your immediate circle, and then decide what to do. I've left instructions with Pemberton. He's one of the few honest lawyers in Boston, believe it or not. He's never worked directly with the Holloway family, just handles some general matters for the firm. He doesn't know what's in the safe deposit box, and he doesn't need to, but he'll help you navigate the legal aspects of the inheritance. My mother looked directly into the camera, and I saw fear in her eyes. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for the fight we had. I'm sorry for pushing you away. I was trying to protect you, but I did it all wrong. I should have told you the truth. I should have trusted you to make your own decisions. But I'm also not sorry for trying to warn you about Mark. A mother knows. Call it instinct, call it paranoia, but something about him always felt off to me. And now, with this evidence of his contact with the Holloways, I'm even more convinced. Please forgive me. Please be safe. Please save Emma. And if you choose to expose the truth, please be careful. I love you, Sarah. I've always loved you. Even when you hated me, even when we weren't speaking, you were always in my heart. Be brave, be smart, and trust your instincts. The screen went black. I sat in that dark hospital room, Emma sleeping peacefully beside me, and felt my entire world crumble. My father, murdered. My family, criminals. My inheritance, blood money. And Mark, the man I'd loved for 10 years, the father of my child, my partner through everything, potentially betraying me to the people who'd killed my father. I looked at Emma, so small and fragile in her hospital bed, fighting a battle she didn't choose, and I knew what I had to do. I had to find out the truth about Mark. I had to get that evidence. I had to protect my daughter, even if it destroyed everything I thought I knew about my life. The video ended at 3:52 a.m. For the next hour, I sat frozen in that uncomfortable hospital chair, watching Emma sleep, my mind racing through everything my mother had said. Mark had a gambling problem. Mark was in debt. Mark had been in contact with the Holloways. It couldn't be true. I would have known, wouldn't I? But then I thought about the little things. The way Mark had been so insistent about handling our finances the last few years. "You work so hard at the hospital," he'd said. "Let me take care of the boring money stuff." I'd been grateful. One less thing to worry about. The way he'd sometimes come home late, claiming work emergencies or after-work drinks with colleagues. I'd never questioned it. I trusted him. The way he'd been so enthusiastic about the kitchen renovation last year, even though we couldn't really afford it. "We deserve nice things," he'd said. "We work hard. Let's enjoy our lives." We put $23,000 on credit cards. Had he been gambling that whole time? Had our debt been even worse than I knew? And the calls. Had he really been talking to the Holloways? About what? About me? About the inheritance he couldn't have known about? Unless he did know. Unless that's what they told him. My phone buzzed. A text from Mark. "Couldn't sleep. Coming back to the hospital. Want coffee?" I stared at the message. My husband. The man who'd held me while I cried about my mother. The man who'd kissed Emma's forehead last night and promised her she'd be okay. Was he really betraying us? I needed to know, but I couldn't just ask him. If my mother was right, if he was really working with the Holloways, confronting him could put Emma in danger. I needed proof. I typed back, "Yes, please. The good coffee from that place on 6th Street. Coming right up. Love you." "Love you too." The lie tasted bitter. Mark arrived 30 minutes later with coffee and breakfast tacos. He looked tired, his hair still damp from the shower, his eyes red from lack of sleep. "How was she overnight?" he asked, setting down the coffee and immediately going to Emma's bedside to check on her. "Stable. The nurses said her vitals are good." "That's something." He turned to me, and for a moment I saw the man I'd fallen in love with, caring, attentive, present. "And you? How are you? Did you get any sleep?" "A little," I lied. "Mark, I need to tell you something." His expression became guarded. "Okay." "My mother's lawyer called. She left me some money." Relief flooded his face. Too much relief. "That's incredible. How much?" "I don't know all the details yet. He said he needs to go through probate and all the legal stuff, but it sounds like it might be substantial." "Substantial like a few thousand? Or substantial like maybe enough to cover Emma's treatment," I said carefully, watching his reaction. His shoulders sagged. "Thank God. Sarah, that's amazing. Your mother, she really came through for us." "Yeah," I said quietly. "She did." "When can you access it?" "The lawyer says I need to go to Boston, sign some paperwork. It might take a few weeks to finalize everything." "Weeks?" Mark's voice rose slightly. "Sarah, Emma starts chemo today. We need that money now." "I know, but apparently there are some complications with the estate. The lawyer was vague about it. He just said I need to come in person." Mark ran his hand through his hair, that familiar gesture I'd always found endearing. Now it just looked nervous. "I'll come with you," he said suddenly, "to Boston. You shouldn't have to deal with this alone, especially right after your mother's death." My mother's voice echoed in my head. "Don't tell Mark. Don't tell anyone." "You need to stay with Emma," I said. "My mom can stay with her." "Sarah, you're going through so much. Let me help you." "Mark," he said, and there was something in his eyes I couldn't quite read. "Please, let me do this for you." He wanted to come to Boston. He wanted to be there when I met with the lawyer. Why? "Okay," I heard myself say. That would be nice. Thank you. He smiled and pulled me into a hug. I let him hold me, but my mind was racing. I needed to search his phone. I needed to see those texts my mother had mentioned. I needed to know if everything my mother had said was true. But how? Mark kept his phone password protected, and I didn't know the code. Or did I? That night, after Mark had gone to sleep, at my insistence, "One of us needs to be rested," I said. I called Detective Chen in Boston. "Ms. Mitchell," she answered immediately. "I've been waiting for your call. Did the lawyer contact you?" "Yes, Detective, my mother left me a video." There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. "You watched it? Alone?" "Yes, all of it. She said my father was murdered, that the Holloways are criminals, that they've been watching me, and she said Mark might be involved." Detective Chen sighed, a sound heavy with resignation. "Your mother came to me 2 weeks before she died. She was terrified. She showed me parts of that evidence, enough to convince me she wasn't paranoid. The Holloways are powerful, Sarah. Their company has ties to half the city council, but she wouldn't hand over everything, said she was saving it for you." "Why didn't you protect her?" I whispered, anger mixing with my grief. "We tried. I assigned a patrol car to her block, but the night she died, the officer reported nothing unusual. The ME called it cardiac arrest, no signs of foul play. But your mother's video, it changes things. If she was poisoned or something subtle, we might have missed it." Poisoned. The word hung in the air like a threat. "Detective, what do I do? Mark wants to come with me to Boston. If what my mother said is true—" "Don't let him," she cut in. "Come alone. Meet me at the station first thing. Bring whatever you find in that safe deposit box. We'll figure out how to handle this together. And Sarah, change your routine. Don't go home tonight if you can avoid it. Stay at the hospital with Emma." I glanced at the clock, 4:55 a.m. Mark would be back soon with coffee. "Okay, I'll fly out tomorrow. Be safe," she said, and hung up. I needed a plan. Fast. When Mark arrived, I forced a smile and sipped the coffee like nothing was wrong. Emma stirred awake soon after, her little face lighting up at the sight of her daddy. We spent the morning with her, holding her hand as the nurses prepped her for her first chemo session. Watching the drugs drip into her IV felt like watching poison enter her veins. Necessary poison, but poison all the same. "I have to go to Boston tomorrow," I told Mark during a quiet moment in the hall. "The lawyer needs me there ASAP." He nodded, but his eyes flicked away. "I'll book my flight too." "No," I said sharply. "Emma needs you here. The chemo might make her sick. I can't leave her alone." His jaw tightened. "Your mom can." "Mark, please, for Emma." He relented, or pretended to. "Fine, but call me as soon as you land." That afternoon, while Mark stepped out to run errands, I borrowed a colleague's phone and booked a flight under a fake name, Sarah Holloway, using my mother's maiden name. It felt surreal, like stepping into a spy novel. Then I texted my mother-in-law to come stay with Emma overnight. "Family emergency," I said. She didn't question it. At home that evening, while Lark was in the shower, I finally got my chance. His phone was on the nightstand, unlocked. He'd been checking emails. My heart pounding, I opened his call log. There they were, calls from a Boston number labeled Work Client. I Googled it quickly. Pemberton, Chase, and Associates, the Holloways firm. Then the texts, dozens of them.
"From 3 months ago, we know about your debts. We can help, but we need information on your wife." "What kind of information?" "Her family history, her mother's activities." "I don't know anything about that." $50,000 wired to your account if you tell us what you do know." A pause in the thread, then Nark. Her mother cut her off years ago. They don't talk. More recent texts from last week. The old woman is dead. Inheritance coming. Keep her close. Report any unusual contacts. Mark, she's calling her mother's lawyer. Might go to Boston. Good. We'll handle it from here. Your debt is cleared. I felt sick. Betrayal burned like acid in my throat. Mark had sold me out for money. For our daughter's life? Or for his own mistakes? I heard the shower stop. I closed the apps, placed the phone back, and pretended to fold laundry. That night, I lay beside him in bed, wide awake, as he snored softly. The man I trusted with my life was a liar. Maybe worse. I left for the airport at dawn, kissing Emma goodbye and telling Mark I'd call when I landed. Instead, I turned off my phone and boarded the flight as Sarah Holloway. Boston was cold, a biting wind whipping off the harbor as I took a cab straight to the police station. Detective Chen met me in a cramped office, her face lined with exhaustion. "You made it," she said, handing me coffee. "No tail?" "Not that I saw." She nodded. "Your mother's apartment is sealed, crime scene now, thanks to the video, but I pulled some strings. You can access it with an escort." We drove there together. The building was old, brick-faced, in a quiet neighborhood. Inside, it smells like books and dust. My childhood. The Jane Eyre was exactly where she said. Third shelf, hollowed out with a key inside. At Boston Federal Bank, the safe deposit box yielded a treasure trove, folders of documents, USB drives, old floppy disks converted to digital, photos of shady meetings, bank statements showing bribes. It was damning, proof of ongoing fraud, money laundering through shell companies, even ties to organized crime for problem solving. "This could take down the whole family," Chen said, scanning a few pages. "Richard Holloway, his sons, the board? But we need to move fast. If they know you have this—" My burner phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "We know you're in Boston. Hand over the evidence or Emma pays the price." Attached, a photo of Emma in her hospital bed, taken that morning. Terror gripped me. "They have someone at the hospital." Chen's eyes widened. "Call your husband, now." I dialed Mark on the burner. He answered on the second ring. "Sarah? Whose number is this?" "Mark, listen to me. Are you with Emma?" "Yeah? Why?" "Get her out of there, now. Take her to my mom's house. Your mom's. Somewhere safe. The Holloways are coming for us." Silence. Then, "Sarah, what are you talking about?" "I know everything. The gambling, the debts, the calls to Pemberton. You sold me out." More silence, then a sigh. "It wasn't like that. They threatened me, said they'd hurt Emma if I didn't cooperate. I was trying to protect us." "Liar," I screamed. "You took their money." "To pay for Emma's treatment. Sarah, please, come home. We can figure this out." Chen grabbed the phone. "Mr. Mitchell, this is Detective Linda Chen, Boston PD. Your wife is under our protection. If you want to help, get your daughter to safety and meet us at the station." He hung up. We raced back to the station, evidence in tow. Chen called in reinforcements, FBI contacts she'd cultivated quietly. "Your mother's evidence is federal-level stuff, racketeering, bribery across state lines." But as we pulled up, tires screeched. A black SUV blocked the entrance. 2 men in suits stepped out, badges flashing. Federal, but something felt off. "Miss Mitchell, we'll take that box now." Chen drew her weapon. "Stand down. This is an active investigation." The man smiled coldly. "Orders from above. Holloway has friends in high places." Gunfire erupted. I dove behind a car as bullets pinged off metal. Chen fired back, hitting one assailant in the leg. Sirens wailed. Real backup arriving. In the chaos, I clutched the box, heart slamming. This was it, the Holloway's desperation. The shootout ended quickly. The FBI were arrested, hired guns with fake badges. Chen was grazed, but okay. Mark arrived that evening, alone. No Emma. "She's safe with my mom," he said, hands raised as Chen cuffed him for questioning. In the interrogation room, he broke, tears streaming. "They approached me months ago, knew about my gambling,
offered to clear it if I spied on you. I didn't know why at first. Then your mom died and they said there was money, evidence. They wanted it destroyed. Did you kill my mother? I asked, voice steady despite the rage. No, God, no, I swear. I just reported on you. I'm sorry, Sarah. I was scared. The FBI took over. With the evidence, arrests followed. Richard Holloway, his sons, accomplices. The heart attack was re-examined. Trace poison found. A hitman confessed, linking it to the family. Mark faced charges for conspiracy, but cooperated for a plea deal. Minimal time, but our marriage shattered. I used the money for Emma's treatment. She responded well. Remission within months. A bone marrow match found. Ironically, a distant Holloway cousin, anonymous donor. A year later, Emma painted again, hands colorful and joyful. I started over in a new city under a new name. The Holloway's empire crumbled in headlines. But sometimes at night, I hear my mother's voice. Trust no one. And I wonder if it's really over.